My name is Eva Yarborough, and this is my stage 2 of my signature project for the University of West Alabama. I am completing this as part of my SE 504 Seminar in Special Education Issues course with Dr. Wade Mayan. Topics that will be covered in this research action plan presentation will be the original data and identified problem, a summary of the background investigation, an outline of the action plan, description of ethical considerations, presentation of results, and a reflection. The title of my research action plan was Improving the COVID-19 Learning Gaps in Mathematics Learning Within the Classroom. So the problem that was observed was that COVID-19 shutdowns led to learning gaps for a multitude of children in the mathematics classroom, leading to many states experiencing drops in standardized test scores in mathematics and a rush to find ways to remedy the loss. So some background investigation summary information. So we know that COVID-19 hit the United States in the spring of 2020, and it led to shutdowns of all non-necessary places, including our classrooms. What ended up happening was we switched to a virtual learning platform where students were transitioned quickly to virtual learning with little to no prior knowledge or training of how to actually participate in a virtual classroom. We saw that students oftentimes had trouble with finding access to the virtual classroom, whether it was they didn't have access to the technology needed, or their charger was broken, or there was little access to internet that was reliable enough to maintain a Google Meet or a Zoom where the virtual learning would take place. Another thing to note is that previous school closures, one example being when summer vacation hits, students miss roughly 8 weeks of learning if they do not attend a summer learning program. And every summer, they repeatedly see that. The average number of school days closed in North America was reported to be 535 days. So our students in some places had over a year of lost classroom time. So the effects of our school closures was that students went without consistent in-person math instruction for almost an entire year. Elementary age students who missed instruction due to school closures were affected substantially, given young students are developing vital math skills needed to be successful in higher grade levels. Standardized testing found an almost 13% drop in math test scores in the United States alone. Here we have data showing fourth grade average test scores. In blue, we see scores from 2019, before COVID-19 pandemic. In the orange, we see test scores for 2022. Now for this graphic and the next graphic are two different grade levels. So this first one is for fourth grade average math test scores. These are done by state. And you can see consistently throughout almost the entire set of data that scores dropped from 2019 to 2022. There are very few states that stayed the same, and there were none that improved within those 3 years. So here we have fourth grade, and here we have eighth grade. And again, we see the same trend in the data where students had great growths in their math skills in eighth grade. And then 3 years later, eighth grade scores have dropped tremendously. Here again, we see the actual drop for each state in the United States. So this is 2019 and 2022, found the difference in the scores. So in 2022, Alabama had no change for fourth grade. However, neither did Illinois. However, the rest of the states in the United States all dropped. Here we have eighth grade. In eighth grade, every state in the United States decreased in their scores. So the action plan that was proposed to remedy the effects of the shutdowns was to create math classrooms customized to the needs of the individual students in those classrooms. Students would work on their missing skills, along with building on grade level learning standards in a low stakes environment. So students would be split into two different groupings randomly. We would have group 1, which is our control group, and group 2, which would be our experimental group. Once you're split into those two groups, those groups are split up randomly into classes. So group A classes are control classes, group B classes are our experimental classes. Group sizes were set to not exceed 20 students. And students with accommodations that receive special services will be randomly assigned into the two groupings in a separate drawing. So there's the same number of students in the control group as in the experimental group that are receiving special services. Sample size consists of the entire 8th grade level students not participating in advanced mathematics classes. So this is the general education math 8. So the instruments used to gauge student learning and progress during this study is the STAR Math Progress Monitoring Testing, created by Renaissance Learning. And other tools would be Freckle Math Intervention. It's tied into Renaissance Learning's STAR Math Progress Monitoring. And one-on-one and small group instruction. All teachers and co-teachers assigned to the experimental group work together to best help students learn to their fullest potential. So the grade levels, as I said, were assigned into two groupings, control and experimental, and then they're randomly assigned into classes. The control group receives traditional math instruction, just like any other normal class would receive. The experimental group receives customized math instruction, so they are doing remedial skills while they're also learning the grade level standards in order to build on the missing skills that they need in order to be able to perform the math that's being required of them. Both groups' learning is tracked through progress monitoring to see which one produces more student growth throughout the school year. Renaissance Star progress monitoring helps create validity by question students based on what they can or cannot do. The test randomly select questions based on the student's ability to narrow down a grade level. These tests are multiple choice and they have options in them so that teachers can select for the test to be read aloud to students. So students do not have to be strong readers to be able to take this test without teacher assistance. This program has been used in Alabama for many years in the classroom to gauge students' levels of ability for math and for reading. Confidentiality is maintained in this project by assigning numbers randomly to each student that is in each class. Students are minors in this experiment, so they are a special population. Informed consent is received by a parent or a guardian prior to participation, and they are allowed to pull their child out at any time within the project. All student information, including names and correlating numbers, are kept by the project director only. And our project did not discuss any need for IRB review in our stage 1. So research data from multiple countries of the world. Research was done by UNICEF and other places in Italy. They showed increases in student ability and confidence by transitioning learning to a method that can help gain basic skills. I would expect similar results for our experiment if it was conducted effectively. I believe I would change the experiment by reducing the sample size and creating more qualifying standards for students to be eligible to participate in the program through pre-screening. I also would shorten the length of the experiment from a full school year to maybe a semester and see how effective it is starting there. Here are multiple resources that were used in creating my research and action plan for stage 1 of my signature project. Thank you and have a great day.